It doesn't. Let me tell you right
It's about to be
now.
another girl episode.
Okay, like actually, I'm not done talking about her.
Not done.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's part of our story forever here on out.
Forever.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good. Can they see our peppermints?
No, they can't.
They
They
actually
can't
can't
see
see
the
any of
table.
this. Oh, yeah.
It's just here now.
Surprisingly.
Yes, welcome everyone. Hello everyone. Just doing a mic check, making sure
And then
everything
can you just
works.
sit here so we can be on the same
Yes.
level like always?
And let me check the microphone.
Whisper
see.
in it real quick.
Hello. Welcome
And
everyone.
let me
Thank
check.
you guys for coming. Thank you for joining. For those that are joining live. Okay. Perfect. It does work, guys.
We go back in it now so it can reset. So the frame can come up. Talk to them. Talk
All
to them.
right. Well, welcome everyone. It is so good to be here today for another episode, another podcast, and just coming along with us in this journey. And yeah, it's good to always, anytime we're able to sit together here and just talk stories, talk about the book, talk about life is always a good time. So yeah, I'm going to pass it back to Anna.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, hello, everybody. Sorry, I have a mint in my mouth because sometimes talking too much leaves you parched. So, not that we already had too much talking before we even turned on the camera. Anyway, hello everybody. Happy Friday. We're here again. I feel like the days go by so fast from the last time to today. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump right in. Welcome back to another episode of What Anna Said podcast. It's so good to be here with you guys. I love when we get together, and then also with our audience at home, our friends that join later. It's so good to be able to get together and pick right back up where we left off. As you guys know, we've been going through the book Formed Underwater, and we've been talking about this for, I believe, 2 months now, if not more, because we've had guests in between those times. And so, yeah, we're diving right back in. Last week, we got to take a little break and we got to share and celebrate our memories and the life that, we shared with Gail Famuna. And so we had taken that time aside to just share all that she was to us and just celebrate her. And even before we started this morning, we were just talking about her again and just how privileged, yeah, how much we miss her, first of all, and just how honored we are that we got to share the time that we did with her. And so she was a big believer in everything that we're doing, and especially this book that we get to share with you guys, and kind of just dive into the pages and walk alongside each other as we go through this lesson. But Gail, we miss you, miss you, miss you. We will always miss you. And I know that if she was still here with us, she'd definitely be tuning in right now, definitely be going through this book with us. And so, hello, Wells Adventures. Hello. I love when you guys get on and talk with us. I love when you guys come and say hello. I especially love when you tell us when the mics aren't working, because that's happened a few times. So thank you guys. And Wells Adventures said that she does hear us. So the mic check is good. Thank you so much for confirming before we get too far ahead in our study here. But yeah, let's begin. So let me take a breath. Um, we are on chapter 4, and chapter 4 is about destiny. If you've been following along, you know we've gone through the author's note, we've gone through the author's background, sharing a little bit of his life and how this book came to pass. We've gone through chapters 1, 2, and 3, where we talk about identity. We've talked about origin. We've talked about purpose, and so we're here. So I want everybody to think about, right? I want everybody to just kind of take a moment right now, close your eyes. When I'm going into a place in my mind, when I close my eyes, it just helps me to see everything so vividly, right? And so think about every great movie, like every great movie where the main character has a destiny. They, somewhere along the movie, the main character discovers that there's something that they were created for, something bigger than their current circumstances, bigger than where they currently are. And they don't get the whole picture right away, and sometimes they discover something, they see a glimpse of it, and along the movie, along their journey, they discover their destiny, right? And so every step that they take, that story unfolds. And you think about people like Spider-Man and movies like that, and just thinking about how something so minor that happened leads them into discovering the big hello, Dallas. Leads them into discovering who they are, who they were created to be, what their destiny is. But that picture, the whole thing wasn't there from the start. It was with every step that they took. And so our lives that we live can be just like that. I feel like a lot of the time we have those questions for ourselves. What am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go? What is my destiny? Which leads us to today's topic, chapter 4. Where are you going? Okay, and so before I begin, I'll go ahead and I have this mic, so I'm going to turn
Well,
to
I love
Edna.
the illustration that you have pictured for us, because I'm also thinking about the audience who's watching a movie. And normally when you're watching something, especially something like Spider-Man, you kind of already know what the ending is. And so you're watching the main character struggle, and they're, contemplating about the decisions they're making. Or sometimes you're watching something, you're like, no, go the other way. Or, you're like, no, like, because I don't know about you guys, but when I'm watching a movie, it has to have a good ending. So it's like, I know that it's going to be a good ending, but even though we're watching them struggle, it's like, man, they're capable, but they're struggling. And so I was just thinking about that as you're speaking, because that can also be like what any of us, or when someone's speaking to us about their purpose and all the things or what they're created for, and they're struggling within that moment. I don't know about you, but you're like, no, you can do it. You are capable. And then you're naming all these qualities that they have, that they've been having been walking along with. But sometimes one of the biggest thing that I had that was a huge issue within that this book had helped me understand is that I have to believe in myself. I have to believe that I'm able, and that I am capable. But I just loved how you pointed that picture with us for that.
That's so interesting, Edna, and thank you for reminding me of that. That's so true. From the point of view of the viewer, when you're watching a movie and you're seeing the main character go through things or doubt themselves, and you're watching it from a bird, you have like a bird's eye view. You have the overall picture of who they are, and you see them outside of themselves, and you're like, no, you've got this. Keep going. You were born for this. You were made for this. And I think that that's so interesting how it's easy to see from the outside, but you as a person and the internal conflict that you have, it's really just within yourself, and you have to first conquer that. Like you said, I have to believe in myself that I'm capable and able to be able to take that next step. And that's the episode. Turn the cameras off. Like you just said everything. That's it. Yeah, so true. So chapter 4, where are you going? If you have your book and you're following along with us, that's page 37. And if you don't, no worries, because we do go through the book line by line and we get to discuss it and fully dive in. If this is your first time joining us, first of all, welcome. And no worries, because all of our episodes are recorded and you can go back and you can join in on chapters 1 and the intro and all of that. And we also share in the earlier episodes, we do share a lot of the background because we do know the author personally. And so we also share a lot of the background and all of the stuff that we've lived and experienced, and the reasons why we take every word as is on this in the chapters that we're reading, because we've seen it, right? And we're living it. And so anyway, enough of me talking. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Kim, can you go ahead and take us through that first couple of sentences there, please?
Chapter 4, where are you going? Destiny. Vision is not about speed, it is about direction. Purpose explains why you are here, and vision determines where you are going.
No. I thought I didn't know if you wanted to add to it before I took the mic.
And I love that part where it says purpose explains why you are here. Because you need to know why you're here before you determine where you are going, which is the second part about vision, right? Determines where you are going. And what I love about this book, about what the author has taken us into, he has set us up in the best way of understanding those things. Like, again, identity tells me who I am.
Exactly.
I know I've said this before in an earlier podcast, is that, so we have identity tells me who I am, origin tells me where I come from, purpose tells me why I am here, and then today, uncovering destiny tells me where I am going. If I did this book, purpose, who I am would have been first.
Right.
And so learning, understanding, and reprogramming everything that I've had thought I understood really was a huge eye opener. And please, audience, know that we're not experts. And so when we're going through this book, we're literally also going through it as well,
Yeah.
learning these things as well, real time, being able to
Yeah.
understand,
Yeah.
understanding what is being said. So I know you said it last time, like, this is going to be my favorite chapter. And I hate that it ends here, but that's the best part.
Yeah.
Is that it ends in the best part where
Yes.
now you can determine where are you heading.
Mhm.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for sharing that. There is an importance and significance in the way that this book is set up. It was put together very intentionally and thoughtfully, and there's a reason why chapter 4, Destiny, is in chapter 4, because you do have to get all those things first aligned, right? Before you even get to where are you going? Like Inner shared, we began straight out the bat with identity. And when you look at so many things, right? All of life's problems or things that you currently face or are challenged with, it really boils down to who are you? Who are you? Identity. Who are you? Who are you created to be? And then from there, we jumped right into origin. Where do you come from? And not geologically, physically, but spiritually, where do you come from? Whose are you? Who do you belong to? And then from there, we jump into purpose, right? What are you created for? What are some of the things that continue to frustrate you? The frustrations that have followed you all of your life that you can't seem to shake, things that move you or convict you to so much that those around you cannot be bothered, but these certain things follow you, these frustrations, and maybe, hey, you see that gap because you were born to feel it. You were born to address that lack, that gap, things like that. So that's purpose. And then, okay, now we know, okay, we're kind of getting there. Now I know my identity, where I come from. I know what I'm supposed to do. Well, you're missing something because now you need to know where are you going, right? Because you can know everything about what you're supposed to do, but if you don't know which direction you're going, you can still you're still misaligned. There you must have all of these components to have the full picture. If you have just one of these, it will take you some time to get there, but we want to work on the holistic and complete full picture of all of the things so that we know that you're on the right path. You're going the right way. So that's exactly what we're doing here in chapter 4 with where are you going? I love that right off the back it says vision is not about speed. It is about direction. Can I just ask, why are we always in a hurry? And I want to ask this specifically to Kim. When you're in the car driving us to the grocery store, why are you in a hurry? Why are you a NASCAR driver? And some of us are like that in our lives. Some of us are like that in our lives, just in a hurry to go nowhere. You ever seen someone that's in a hurry to go nowhere? And it's like, if you just slow down, I promise you will still be nowhere.
No, that's funny because my husband Antonio, he always says, "Why do we hurry?" In the Bible, you never see Jesus ran.
He wept, he prayed, he walked on water. I'm trying to look for where he ran at. Antonio, thank you. But honestly, vision is not about speed. Once you discover that life really is about the journey, not the destination, you might want to slow down. But yeah, vision is not about speed. It is about direction. Okay, so it says purpose explains why you are here. We've talked about that many times, especially on the last when we were going through chapter 3, purpose. It talks about why you are here, and then vision determines where you are going. Okay, so the next paragraph it says, without vision, even a purposeful life can begin to drift. We know this all too well. We've talked about this so many times that a lot of times you can spend your moments, you can spend all of your years in this life doing something good. But if you are not doing the right thing, the thing you were created to do, you're still drifting. You're still drifting. And so that's exactly what it says here. Without vision, even a purposeful life can begin to drift. People may live meaningful moments, carry responsibility, and work with good intentions, yet feel reactive rather than intentional. Like I feel like I'm just reacting to the things that I think I need to do but I'm not all of these things. I'm not living intentionally to the purpose that I was created to begin with. This happens not because purpose is missing. Mm-mm. If you're created, you have a purpose. Let me tell you right now. So it's never because purpose is missing. If you are here, the person who has created you, designed you, had a purpose in mind for you. So not because purpose is missing, but because purpose has not yet been aimed. And that's exactly where vision comes in. That's exactly where destiny comes in, because you need direction, right?
And I just wanted to go over that portion, Anna, just like you were saying, where it says, without vision, even a purposeful life can begin to drift. People may live meaningful moments, carry responsibility, and work with good intentions, yet still feel reactive rather than intentional. And so, looking up the definition, like Edner loves to do, looking up the definition for reactive is acting in response to an event, situation, or stimulus rather than planning ahead or trying to prevent things before they happen. It's the same thing, when you don't, without a vision, you're doing all these good things. You're whatever those good things are, whether it's going in, I don't, just all the things that that are good things that you think that are good things, and at the same time you're just reacting to the certain circumstances or the events that are happening instead of having a vision. When you know your vision, it's easy to say no to those things when they're not part of the vision, because then you don't feel like you're lacking because you know your direction. So just seeing that where it says you still feel reactive rather than intentional, and it's because without vision, even a purposeful life can begin to drift. It says this happens not because purpose is missing, but because purpose has not yet been aimed. And when I saw that word aimed, it just reminded me of my daughter's vision board that we had made her. And it has, the darts where you throw the darts to on that circle. So you throw the darts, and I remember on that part of her vision board, it said, aim with purpose, shoot with precision. And what you're shooting with precision is once you know your purpose, you can shoot with precision and aim to the vision of who you're created for and what you're meant to do. And that was the right when I seen that, I was like, oh yeah, that's exactly it, is because purpose has not yet been aimed. Yeah.
Thank you, Kim. Going back to what you were sharing about, the target that your daughter Aki had on her vision board, on her poster board, that just brought back the truth of, how are you going to hit your target if you don't have one? Huh? How are you going to know where to aim if you don't have a target to aim at? If you don't know what it is that you're working towards, if you don't have a vision, if you don't know who it is that who are you, who you were called to be, how do you know? And like, you're that's where that phrase living aimlessly, wandering aimlessly, moving aimlessly, because that's moving without purpose, right? Moving without direction. And that's why it's so important to know, to have that vision. Once you have all of these things, you know who you are, you know where you come from, you know what it is you're supposed to do. Okay, well, now what? And just like Kim was sharing, there's so many good things, right, in this world that you can do. Especially if you've ever, if you've ever worked in a nonprofit, you know that there are so many things in this world that needs to be addressed. There's, homelessness, child disease, uh, food scarcity, just all of these things that you can, that there's so many things you don't know where to begin. If you do not have a purpose, if you do not have a vision, if you do not have a mission, it is easy to get distracted by all of the good things that you can do rather than focusing in on what it is that you were called to do, the problem that you were called to solve. Because guess what? When you're distracted and doing all the other good things, other people were called to address that. Other people, their purpose was, they were specifically called to do that. And you've left the lane that you've been called to absent. And you've left that lane just, with no one addressing the problem that you were called to solve, or whatever it is. And so that's why it's just so important to have vision, because even once you know your purpose, if you do not have vision, if you do not have direction, it's so easy to just stay right where you are. It's so easy to still be misaligned in your purpose. So, Edna, did you want to add to that before I continued?
I
Or?
was, but I think you guys really covered it. Which is great because we've been on the same page
Yeah.
with this. I think with purpose, I heard about that. A purpose isn't only something you understand; it is something that you have to believe strongly enough to live it out. You mentioned earlier about just being created. When God created you, you were on assignment. The assignment belongs to you. And so what I love about this is that when I began to ask these questions about who am I, and then understanding that God gave this to me, and if God gave this to me, nothing, no one, anything but myself can stop me from accomplishing and finishing the task that has been given to me. And that's what gives you purpose. It's like, wow, I finally get to live out what I was created to do. In our previous meeting we talked about the law of attraction. And the more we speak about it, the more I began to understand it. Because when I started to align myself with my purpose, I began to understand that now the power of words, we've been teaching our little champs about the power of words. And that can attract, law of attraction works negatively just as well as positively. So if I'm saying things like, I don't know who I am, what am I supposed to do? That is what you're going to attract, confusion. You're going to start attracting other people's identity. So when you begin to understand, oh, God, help me figure out who I am, right? Who beginning to understanding those journey and being able to finally ask ourselves all the right questions that has been in this book, and you're discovering who you are. Like, oh wait, now it makes sense why I've been thinking this way. When everything comes forth and you begin to agree with your assignment, again, law of attraction, begin to attract yourself to all the things, the power, being able to. People say door opening. I just say, you're finally able to finally see where you're heading. And that is why that's why vision is so important and why you will hit your target, because now that lane is clear. Now my mind isn't fogged up, and and now there's so much clarity of why I am here and what I'm supposed to be doing. And like Anna said, all these things that you can do, these are good things. Nothing's bad about them. But is it for you to accomplish these things? Are you in the way? I don't, all the things that goes with that. But I just love the comfort and confidence that purpose and vision gives you.
Yes, very true, Enner. Thank you for sharing that. And it's like everything that you were just mentioning, when you're so aligned with why you're here, where you come from, whose you are, and the mission that is set out for you, your destiny, where you're going, everything just aligns so beautifully. And I remember yesterday I was telling Anna, whenever, we were looking over something, and I told Anna, and I said, the stars are aligning. Like everything is just so the vision is clear, the direction, the path is made, and we're just ready to take it head on. And we're just so excited and just seeing like, wow, this book is so true. The way that everything is happening, the chapters are in the order that it is for a reason. And once everything is coming together, you get this translucent that like kind of feeling, because everything is just like, wow, you just see God's hand in every single thing. And you can't help but not deny this book, following everything that the book is telling you, searching for your purpose, writing down your goals, making it plain, seeing it every day, revisiting it, and rewriting it to make sure that it aligns with exactly who you are. But once you discover these four truths that shape identity, purpose, and destiny, you can really take off confidently in that lane that you are created for.
Exactly. Thank you guys for sharing that. And I know that a lot of the things that we share on here may sound like, okay, you guys say this every single time, like it's the same thing, because it's true, guys. Because it's true, because I'm living it right now. Like I said, like Edna was sharing before, we are definitely not experts. Like this is not standing at this place and trying to, preach something at you. This is because I'm living it right now. I am testing these principles out in my life right now. I'm taking that next faithful step, even though I don't see what's ahead. I am in tune and trying to be aligned in all of these things that we have been going through the past couple months. And I'm seeing it. And, once you see something, you cannot unsee it. When you come to learn something for yourself, there's a switch, there's a change that happens. Like there's a chemical reaction that happens in your brain where you lock into that information because you've seen it for yourself. This is not something that we learned. Knowledge is the what is it? It's the so we've all the movies, or you've probably heard it many times. Knowledge is power, but knowledge is actually the potential of power. It's the potential of power. Applying that knowledge, that's where the true power comes in. And so even though we may be reading this, going through this together, unless it's applied, guys, it won't change your life. Unless you're actually applying these things, you're opening up your mind to believe it, like Ender said, to believe in yourself. That's when you will see that change naturally happen. And so that's why there's so much conviction in us sharing this and going through this ourselves, is because we've seen it for ourselves in our individual lives right now. So anyway, moving forward, sorry. Enter, I already forgot where we left off. Okay.
All right, again on page 37, we start where it says vision. Vision is what gathers effort into direction. When direction is absent, energy scatters. Decisions become reactive, life becomes busy but not coherent. Movement happens, but progress is unclear. Vision is what brings restraint, focus, and alignment to a life of responsibility.
Hmm. Exactly. Exactly that. When direction is absent, energy scatters. Of course, you're investing so much time, so much energy in all of these things, but when direction is absent, when you have no clear direction on where you're aiming, your energy is being given to all of these things, right? That does not matter, that is not serving you, that is not going to be fulfilling, because it doesn't align with who you are, who you're created to be. And so your decision making, now you're reactive. Now you're just answering to what is happening to you. Your life is busy, but it's not coherent. It's not productive to who you are, the overall person that you are created to be. Movement happens, but progress is unclear, right? There's no way for you to measure your progress because you don't have a target. You don't have you don't know what you're aiming towards. So then your progress isn't clear. So vision is that key link between the focus and alignment for your life, and it says there, vision is what brings restraint, focus, and alignment to a life of responsibility. And so in the next paragraph, it says, for a long time, I believed vision meant clarity, seeing the entire picture before moving forward. I thought certainty had to come first, but vision does not begin with certainty. It begins with conviction. It's not knowing every step, but it is knowing which direction is true. And that right there, I think, is true for, many of us, is that sometimes you want to know the full picture. Like, before we start, I need to know the full picture. I need to know everything. I need to know where I'm going to end up before I take that next step. And sorry to say it, but a lot of times vision don't work like that. A lot of times vision just gives you just enough for you to see that next faithful step until I'm going to start beatboxing now, but and then until it reveals the next faithful step and the next step, right? And so, just like the author said there, is that a lot of times we think that we need clarity, that we need certainty, when the only thing you need is conviction.
Yes, very true. Thank you for sharing that, Anna. Um, just wanted to share this quote from Dr. Miles Monroe where he talks about vision. And going back to the paragraph before where it says, vision is what brings restraint, focus, and alignment to a life of responsibility. And the quote is that vision is your anchor in the wind of adversity. The same thing with the ship with no rudder. When you have your vision, it's the anchor, it's the thing that holds you down. Vision also protects your character. Because of this vision, you know that, okay, maybe I shouldn't be in this certain setting, or I should be, actually, I shouldn't go do this thing. I should rather be over here, because when you know your vision, you can aim directly to it, and it protects your character. It's the anchor in the wind of adversity. Everything that comes your way, you can clearly see and be able to ready yourself for what's ahead, because at the same time, nothing's going to move you. You're unmovable. The vision is going to happen whether it's not whether you see it or not. No, you need to see it so that the vision can happen. But yes, I just wanted to share that quote from Dr. Miles Monroe.
Absolutely. I love that quote too. And I'm just going to say it again one more time so we can all receive it. And it says, vision is your anchor in the wind of adversity. I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. A lot of times in the previous chapters, we've talked about, being formed underwater and breathing underwater. And a lot of times you're like, what? Why am I breathing underwater? Why hasn't it taken me? I'm done with this. And you realize that something has been sustaining you, that you have been anchored in something beyond you, beyond this world, bigger than this life. And so that vision, comes from the source. And that's exactly, just hearing that quote, vision being your anchor in the wind of adversity. Because no matter what's happening all around you, you know where you're going, you know who you are, whose you are, who you belong to, why you are here. And now through chapter 4, we're learning, and where are you going? So thank you for sharing that. So the paragraph that we just read about, clarity and certainty, when all you need is conviction to begin, because certainty says, I know exactly what is going to happen, right? That's safe. That's secure. That keeps me from, that gives me confidence to move forward. So certainty says, I know exactly what is going to happen, but conviction says, I may not know, but I know what I need to do. And that's where we are. That's the destiny. That's the vision. So looking back, the author says, looking back, I can see that I was never without vision. I was without permission to trust it. Guys, there we go again. Permission. We live in a world today, especially like now with social media and everything, where you are being constantly surrounded by people, like even us, looking for validation, right? When you're posting a funny video, or you make whatever post on TikTok or Instagram, posting your selfies or your thoughts on Facebook, whatever it is, and you're looking for that validation, you're looking for the likes, you're looking for the comments, you're looking for people who agree with you, you're looking for interaction, validation, permission. Permission to be you, permission to be yourself, right? Because maybe I'm weird, and if I post a funny video that I think is funny with the sense of humor I have, and nobody reacts to it, well, let's act like we never saw that, right? Because I'm looking for permission to be that person that I am, and I'm looking to the world for that. And so that's what the author's talking about here, is that, okay, I knew what I was supposed to do, and I had the vision, I saw it, but I was looking for permission to trust it. I didn't trust my own, belief in myself, and I was looking for outside validation before I even move forward.
What I love the most about this paragraph is that big word, conviction. And I believe, honestly, conviction is a big one for me. And I love that conviction. Well, let me give the definition.
Thank you.
Right. So that can be an inner awareness or proof of guilt given by the Holy Spirit, which goes back into chapter 2, Origin, who tells me where I come from, which is interesting because before we dived into Origin, or what that book, what that chapter was all about, I did honestly thought, oh, like, what does culture have to do with who I belong to, or given again permission to dive into our purpose and other things. So, but again, conviction, I love that, because conviction is what gives purpose or strength. It's being uncomfortable with just being comfortable. I love that it challenges you. I love that there was a point in my life where I felt like I knew all the things. Now what do I do? And I sat there and I knew that inner awareness, that inner eternal feeling that I'm like, there's more than this. I was sent here again on assignment. So I love that the conviction does that, because without conviction, someone who may know what they are called or designed to do, but going that into what Kim said about being anchored. I love that, because conviction keeps you anchored. It doesn't. So when fear comes, or I'm wondering how would the next thing be provided? Think about provision. What about someone saying all the things I'm thinking about that used to hold me back? Now is like, now that I know that my vision is clear, I can go there and everything is just flying off the wind. It doesn't matter, because I see the lane for me that I created is much more, I guess, again, clarity, being able to walk through it. Again, that begins with conviction.
Thank you so much for taking us through that definition
Hopefully.
and bringing it back home. I love when you do that. Eder is our dictionary girl, and she gets into all the definitions, and we love her for it. But exactly that, and just to add to that, a lot of us confuse validation with conviction, with confirmation. We think that validation means, okay, yes, now I'm going to do it. Now I'm going to do the podcast. Now I'm going to get into real estate. Now I'm going to get into psychology. Now I'm going to go to school. And a lot of times we think that validation is confirmation from God that, okay, yeah, this is it. When all along, we never needed that permission. We already were given that. Like, once you know your, obviously, when everything has aligned, right? Identity, origin, purpose, and now direction. Once you have all those things, you know enough to take that next faithful step. And so the author continues to say, I believed vision required approval, which is exactly what we are just talking about, that it required approval, opportunity, or validation. Oh, maybe next time, whenever, if it comes up again, then I'll do it, And so, but vision does not come from circumstances. It comes from alignment. And there's that word again, from alignment. When identity, origin, and purpose are settled, direction begins to emerge naturally, even if the full path remains unseen. Now that everything has aligned, now that all the superhero qualities, like everything's getting together, everything has come together now, direction emerges naturally. Now it's like, okay, I know, okay, this is the way I'm supposed to go. I know that I'm supposed to be moving in this direction, even though the full path is unseen. I don't know what the end result looks like. I don't know, but I know that this is what I'm called to do. So I'm going to take the next faithful step. That is where your alignment truly is, right? Going back to what we were just sharing earlier about, validation and confirmation. Sometimes, like the author said, I had vision, but I was without the permission to trust it. And I think about how that can be an attack from the devil, right? How your own thoughts, that's why it's so important to take every thought captive, is because that thought can keep you in that place for years, for days, for months, for weeks, for years. And unfortunately, a lot of times we are stuck in that in between where, okay, we know all these things, but we don't take that next step because we're waiting for validation, because we're being challenged by our own thoughts, that voice that's creeping up, and then we begin to believe it. Every day that you delay, you add that thought becomes stronger and stronger, and that is none other than an attack from the devil. Because why would I allow you to be all that you were created to be? Like, why would I allow that to happen? As the enemy, as the devil. And it takes me back to the attack. When you begin to become attacked, that's what gets attacked first, is your identity, because leadership begins with identity. Your power, your superpower, all of those things begin with knowing who you are. I think about when Jesus went away to fast, and I think about when Satan attacked him, and what did he start off by saying? He said, if you are the Son of God, da 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 da. If you are your identity, who you say you are, da 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 da. Okay, and so why do you think you won't be attacked that way? If Jesus, the Son of God, was attacked in that way, why did you think that you'll be just, ha ha, I'm like, la 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 la, I'm gonna do this and do this? These things will happen. It's not if, it's when. And when it happens, it's very important that you are anchored to the source, that you are anchored to the truth, that you are aligned in all of these things, because that's what's going to keep you anchored in the winds of adversity when you are challenged.
Yes, very true. Thank you for sharing that, Anna. And just like everything you were saying, it just took me back to this another quote from Dr. Miles Monroe. And he said, prolonged indecisiveness is a vision killer. It keeps you in the middle of the road and lets life run over you. So time and time again, the same thing. You keep getting run over. You're not taking these thoughts captive, and you're allowing it to tell you who you are, or these other labels, instead of knowing exactly whose you are and why you're here and what you're created for, so that you can have a vision and know your purpose and your destiny of where you're heading. But yeah, everything you were saying, Anna, that quote again, prolonged indecisiveness. So a prolonged indecisiveness is a vision killer. It keeps you in the middle of the road and lets life run over you. Take those thoughts captive. Don't let it prolong, and then now your vision and you don't even know who you are.
Yeah. Not only take them captive, but replace them with the truth, Replacing with the truth of who you are, the truth of God's word. Just, don't, when you, it's a two-parter. Take it captive, replace. Take captive, replace with the truth. But yeah, just like Kim was saying, when I think about those that are in that indecisiveness, like you said, prolonged indecisiveness, just hanging out in that place, that's a vision killer. Not just that, but guys, settling, like to settle, that is an insult to your potential. You should be absolutely enraged at that. To settle is to kill your, that's an insult to you, to your potential, to who you were created to be. And so come with us and take that next faithful step, okay? Moving on to the next paragraph. Vision is what allows you to move forward even when life feels heavy. Yes. Even when you are breathing underwater. And just like everything that we've been talking about, a lot of times you don't want to show up. You don't want to show up. You don't want to wake up. You don't want to take that next step. You don't want to do what it is that you know that you should do. Sometimes life gets heavy to that point, and what is it? Like, ask yourself, what is it that's going to keep you moving forward? What is it that's going to keep you toward the goal that you have before you, toward what it is that you were called to do? What is that? And so here the author shares with us that vision is what allows you to keep moving forward. There's something greater that you have been called to do, that that you must rise up again, that you must rise up and continue to move forward. And so, sorry, I had some notes here that I wrote. And one of the things that I had wrote when I read that was, what if destiny requires you to not know, to be okay with not knowing? Like, what if that is that is your destiny, is to not know, but to know enough to move forward. I love how it says that vision allows you to move forward even when you were breathing underwater. And I think about that because breathing, like being formed, this book is called Formed Underwater. And being underwater, you can't see that far ahead of you. You cannot see what's around you. You may be, deep, it's dark, it's cold, but you're still moving and you're still breathing somehow. And so the next paragraph says, destiny does not unfold all at once. Going back to the movie we talked about with the main character, right? When they come into something that they find out about themselves and they tap into that. They don't know all at once that they're a superhero, that they have the superpower or even how to use it, but it's with every step that they take that they begin to gain understanding and gain an overall awareness of who they are or how great they are, what they were called to do. And so here it says, destiny does not unfold all at once. We see that time and time again. It reveals itself progressively. Rarely does life show the entire road ahead. It offers just enough clarity to take the next step and then enough to continue. Vision is directional, not exhaustive. This understanding freed me from waiting for perfect clarity. I stopped asking, where will I end up? And started asking, what is the next faithful step? I love that because where will I end up is just too much, right? Like, it's too much. Like, that's too much for me right now to think about where is it that I'm going to end up. But if I just take that and break it down to what is the next faithful step, what is the next step that I'm called to take? What does that look like in my life, in your life? What does that, entail? And for me, that next step for me is showing up. That next step, a lot of times, guys, I'm showing up in places I don't know what's going on. I don't even know. All I know is that God is requiring me to be here. God is requiring me to show up here. And all I know is that by showing up, he shows me the next step from there. And that's exactly what the author talks about here.
That paragraph you just read, Anna, that says, destiny does not unfold all at once. It reveals itself progressively. It took me back to a moment with my oldest. In the very beginning of schooling him, there was a chance that, the right word I'm looking for, he has dyslexia. There we go. And one of the things I did not realize he struggled with was with direction. I could give him a task, and I know it's not his character to be disobedient, but he won't finish his task. and that had been an ongoing issue with him. So let's say, for example, I said, Sam, make sure in the morning you need to brush your teeth, fix your hair, make sure you have breakfast before you do anything else. Make sure you do all these things and make sure you clean up your room. I was overwhelming him with so much direction that he didn't know which one to start. Therefore, he would, because he was information overload, he would just sit there. And then that to me looked like disobedience. Now I'm all riled up, but over time, as I was speaking to his teacher, one of the things about dyslexia is that you can't give them too much information. It overwhelms them. So I will say, I'll give him the task and I say, okay, start with this one first. And then he'll go and do that one. All right, Sam, go ahead and do the next one. But what I realized when I began to do that with him is that I'm building him structure and routine, and he's able to see the progress that he's making. And as time has gone by, he sticks to that step because it gives him, he learned why it's important to do this one first, why it's important to do this one second. And so he's able to finally accomplish these tasks easily now as a 12-year-old because I took the time to direct him versus throwing all this information on him and then being upset with him. Now he's overwhelmed. And then to him, he's like, I can't do it. I'm not good enough, whatever it is that he thinks. So I kind of think about that and how God works even with me. God gave me the full picture. I'm going to cripple. Like, what do you mean I'm going to be on stage? What do you mean I'm going to speak? What do you mean I'm going to be counseling people? Like, I'm not okay myself. But I love that when God gives you a task, he truly holds you through it all. He's like, you're going to be okay. So when you're walking at the lane, you're not ever going to be by yourself. And so that Holy Spirit, that inner awareness is going to lead you, it's going to guide you. That's why you're able to hit your target in the first place and be okay. That is why you're going to be anchored down because he is leading you with it. And I just love that. I just love that comfort that he gives you in the hard times of accomplishing these assignments that he's giving to you.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I love when you bring your real life into what it is that we're learning, because this is exactly what it is. This is not meant to just be read and to just keep that information in your mind. This is for you to see where it is that you are. As you read these pages, you will see your life will show up because this is about life. This is the big picture. This is what it's literally all about. And I love every time when you bring those examples and how you share about, motherhood and your journey with Sam, and also how these things apply. And you can see that parallel and, how God does the same for us. And you're so right. God knew, duh. He knew that if he told me everything it was that I was supposed to do, if he showed me the big picture, showed me the end result, I would have been like, God, no, that's too scary.
Yeah, that's how I think about the book. If you guys go back into when we began Formed Underwater, it took us forever just to get through chapter 1, identity. Because we had to uncover, we had to
sit with it ourselves.
Yes. And so it took us such a long time, but when we got it, each chapter became easier because of the first task that was given to us. And so God has the things of order, and I just love how it works out truly for our best.
Honestly, and I love that because this really, if you go back to the first, like you said, we took forever getting through that first chapter, but it was because we were doing the work ourselves too, applying it for ourselves, taking inventory of our life, right? Looking at the things that frustrated us. What are the things that I love to do? Because I need to figure out who I am. I need to figure out who I was created to be. And then where do I come from? Who do I belong to? What did God call me and named me before this world put titles on me? And then here we are at Destiny. And just like you were saying, if God had given us everything, the blueprint, the full picture, everything all at once, I would be too scared to begin. Because God, you think that much of me? Like you have that much great of a purpose for me, for my life, that you think I can do that, not knowing that the little steps, the faithful steps that you take now is developing the character, the skills, the person that you need to be to do that big thing, to do that that impossible thing that you think in your mind. And so that's why God reveals one step at a time. Like, here, eat this one, calm down, and then you can grow. But that's exactly it. And I love that because, when we talk about confidence, true confidence, because a lot of times when we share this, people are like, why are you so confident? But honestly, true confidence is when you are in agreement with God about who you are. When you come to an agreement with God about who he's called you to be, who he created you to be, that's where that true confidence comes from. That's that thing that nobody can add to, take away, because they didn't give it to you in the first place. Because this world doesn't need to give you permission. You were given, this was built in you from the beginning. Okay. So when you say built different, built different, literally built different. But yes, thank you so much for sharing that, Enner. That is so true. The last sentence of the paragraph that I just read, it's the statement says, "Destiny is not a single moment you arrive at; it is a life you walk into with intention." So a lot of times we think destiny, destination. We think, what is my destiny? And we automatically go to the end, right? We automatically go to the ultimate picture, like, oh, at the end, this is it. This is my destiny, who I'm created to be. When the truth of it is that it is a life that you walk to with intention. It is a lifestyle. And as you walk that life, what you ask yourself is, who am I becoming while I get there? While I am on my way to that destiny, who am I becoming? And that is the journey. That is the destiny. And so when that's what I wrote down here whenever I read the sentence, was that's absolutely it. That is absolutely it. Who am I becoming while I get there? Did you want to share before I wrap this up, or okay? And then did you have anything else? I know I can sit here and talk forever on this one, because honestly, yes, and just like, going back to what I was saying earlier about settling and how that is an insult to your potential. It is an insult to you. And I hope that you really take that in and know that when you settle, it is an insult to yourself. You kill your potential. You kill all of the things that is great about you. Literally the reason why you were created and the way that you can live a fulfilled life. You kill it when you settle. That prolonged indecisiveness that Kim was talking about earlier. One thing that I do want to leave you guys with, that I want to, I just want to emphasize, is that you are too important to be casual with your life. You are way too important. When we think about, when you go into a store, you might see a name brand and the generic brand, right? And a lot of times you will pay the higher price point because you know that there's more value in a certain product versus the other. So a lot of times in life, we place value on what we pay for it. In that same way, your life has been bought with a price. Your life was bought with the greatest price and sacrifice was used to buy your life. And so with that understanding and knowing that, to know how valuable you are too valuable, too important to live so casually with your life, to not take command of your life, to not walk with purpose, to not rise up with intention, to not have a goal that you're aiming at, to just live life aimlessly with no direction. You're too important. You're too valuable. You're too gifted to live small. You're too valuable to be distracted. Okay? So let's get it together. All right. And so that's just something that, I want to leave you guys with, is that maybe you've been asking yourself, just like us when we started this journey, is that, where am I going? What is my destiny? Maybe you've been waiting for the whole picture to be revealed before you took a step forward, before you were even willing to move, living life, settling, right? Living life in that prolonged indecisiveness. But maybe you don't need the whole picture. Maybe you just need enough vision to know what direction you need to go, and enough conviction to trust it, and enough courage to take the next faithful step. Destiny doesn't always reveal itself all at once. Like we just read, sometimes it unfolds as you walk. Who am I becoming on my way there? So instead of where will I end up, ask, what is my next faithful step? And that's something that I'm asking ourselves too, is what is our next faithful step? And then don't stop there, take it. Take that next faithful step. Move forward with intention. And that's where we'll leave you today, because that's the work that we got to do. We got to do this too. This is not just sharing it with you. We also need to take that next faithful step. And before we end, because sometimes you're like, okay, yeah, what are you doing? Honestly, we've started the new journey of getting our real estate license. And guys, coming as an immigrant, That is a big, big, beautiful world. And there are big, big, beautiful words I don't understand in that world, and processes and lifestyles and just so many things that's happening there. All I know is that God is calling me to take that next faithful step. All I know is He keeps telling me to show up. And I know that I've tried to run away before, and God pulls me back like Jonah and spits me back out and says, take that next faithful step. This is where you were called to be. This is what you are supposed to do. Take up that lane. Rise up with intention. Don't be casual with your life. You are way too valuable. You're way too important. Okay? So take that next faithful step with us, guys. We're all going to do it together. Thank you guys so much for being here. I can't wait to come back next week and talk about all the steps that we took that were scary, the steps that we took in spite of fear. And I encourage you to walk alongside this journey with us. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for joining us each and every Friday. We can't wait to get back together next week. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on another episode of What Anna Said podcast. Bye. Also, if you come to karaoke at Dos Amores, it's tomorrow, okay? Not today. It's usually Fridays. Saturday, they'll have karaoke. Not the karaoke.
He wants to see you.